Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshack here. I'm gonna be going over and talking about the best cards to come from the new expansion, the Emerald Dream. At the start of the expansion, what the standout cards were and what the standout good cards are now are quite different, given that we just had a balance change, which is why I kind of waited on this video to cover what are the best cards. As we know, like leeches at the very start were very powerful, but now they got nerfed. So I think these next couple cards are actually going to surprise you on what is the standout stuff. So in regards to anything Death Knight, not really that big deal. Most of the wild gods don't really get played that much, I would say. Mainly the wild cards get played from our boy Malorn. This is generally how the wild god cards come out. There are a couple wild gods that see some fringe played, like Goldrin and the Imbue Hunter, which it doesn't even need that. And we have like the Death Knight one that clears the board. But generally, most of the time, Malorn is the standout there. Also, it's kind of crazy with Murmur Shaman playing the Imbue Malorn card, and there is actually not an Imbue deck there. They just play it because of Shudder, and then they get 3 of the wild gods, and then they use Ysera to have the mana so quickly. So it's really weird to see how this is all panned out, that Malorn is actually played in the best deck that he's in doesn't actually run Imbue. I feel like there's a really weird spot to be in, first of all, but also like mechanically, I don't think it should be like that. There's something massively broken that the card is not played in the deck it was designed to be played in. So specifically taking a look at Rogue, we have the Harbinger of the Blighted. This is currently found in a very popular aggro rogue list. It has the early game bounce mechanics with fill up the board, be aggressive combo, and then it has some late game stuff going on there with Snorlax and some dragons and Shadow Step, and then Ash Veil, which is actually picking up steam. But yeah, this is a really good 2-drop. We saw it coming. I don't know how cards like Shadow Step haven't gone away. I mean, it's been a problem in my opinion since the start of Hearthstone. 0 mana bounce a minion, it costs 2 less in the future, which just means it's a 0 mana repeat it, discount it by 2. But yeah, the amount of tempo that this card brings, if you have like 2 Shadow Steps in the opener, or the web card that bounces with a Shadow Step as well, we're talking anywhere between 4 to 6 minions on turn 2 to 3. So pretty sick, very powerful card. Unfortunately, moving past Death Knight, Demon Hunter, Druid, Hunter, Mage, Paladin, Priest, that Rogue card is not really a surprise, given the fact that Rogue always finds a way to wiggle in once we get more time to get through it all. We have Warlock stuff, again, not that great. Looking at Warrior, again, not that great. A lot of the power in this expansion is in the neutral cards, which is kind of crazy given the fact that in the previous expansions it was definitely not the case. Neutral cards being powerful is not new, but at the same time, like Ceaseless Expanse, right, played in a ton of different decks, but generally there's always like 1 or 2 decent cards from this particular classes. But this time it's really just Rogue that shines, and most of it, like I said, is neutral. The Nightmare Lord is played in a ton of decks right now as well. Battlecry, discover a minion from your deck and give it a dark gift. Dark gifts are pretty good depending on whether you hit charge, or you hit the one that gives it reborn, or you give it, you know, battle cries trigger twice. This card can either just brick a game in your favor completely, or it could just absolutely whiff and it doesn't do too much, but it's still a really popular card, and it was surprising to me how good it was. Moving to another neutral that everybody slept on, literally it's a sleeping card, but is super good, found in a ton of decks. That's the Ancient of Yore. This is a 5 mana dormant for 2 turns. While dormant, gain 5 armor and draw a card at the end of your turn. So super diverse, very just a well-rounded card. 5 mana, gain 10 armor, draw 2 cards, and then, you know, you get the 5/5 at the end of the deal. Unfortunately, it doesn't have taunt. I think that'd probably make it too good, but yeah, it's a nice mid-range to control, just value card, get a lot out of it, and it's a homie. He's a chill guy. So moving to the Snorlax, this is found in quite a few super popular priest lists right now, running like the OTK with the Zucchinis and the Briar Spawn Dragons, which we'll get to. But yeah, I mean, this guy obviously is going to be exceedingly powerful eventually. Depends on the dragons, depends on the meta, depends on the ramp, right? But in the end, cards like this that revert, that change dragons or spells or stuff we've seen in the past, Lady Anachondria, Thaddeus, all these cards that bring things down to 1 mana or 0 are just generally broken at some form and time. And right now that guy is broken with the Briar Spawn Drake, because they play that and then they go Drake, and then they probably play the Zucchini. They skip the opponent's turn, then they make it their turn, and then the Briar Spawn Dragons attack, and then they get to attack again. It's like anywhere between like 50 to like 80 damage on turn, anywhere between like 7 to 9. So if you haven't seen that priest deck yet, good for you. But this also was a problem in Food Fight Warrior, which actually just got a nerf, which was like the one of the weirdest nerfs because it came out of nowhere. It's so funny because that deck didn't exist, and then Teabag made it. I gave it the Rob spin, and then all of a sudden Food Fight's getting nerfed. But yeah, Briarspawn Drake is actually just an insane neutral card. Going into this expansion, I didn't think this would be a super popular card that would see a lot of play in very good decks, but it's being played in tier 1 decks right now, whether it was Dungar Druid, Skip Turn Zucchini Feet Priest, Food Fight Warrior. Briarspawn Drake is making plays, and that's pretty insane to me. And then another card that I would say that you wouldn't think about being in the set is the Emerald Aspect Ysera. So this actually came out before the expansion hit as the early card and the one that you could play with, I think, a couple weeks before the expansion dropped, and it is still played. It's found in a variety of different control decks or combo decks, being able to, again, Snorlax and then play this, or play Shudder with Murmur and then this, and then you get 9 mana, so you just absolutely destroy your opponent's mana in regards to how much you have versus they have. So yeah, dragons in the Emerald Dream seem pretty good. Not too many standout cards, but again, most of them being neutral means they are access to everybody, which means a variety of different decks get to play them in a variety of different ways. But yeah, overall, fairly low impact set. There's obviously like the obvious mention of like the best Imbue deck, which is probably Hunter right now. Imbue Hunter is very good. And then obviously all the Imbue Hunter cards are good, right? But with the neutral cards, you just see them so frequently, and like I mentioned, in such a variety of decks that they just feel like they stand out a lot more. So with that, those are the most popular cards in the expansion so far after the buffs and nerfs. This is definitely a weird meta we're in right now in Hearthstone, and I'm not sure I'm a fan of it. Player sentiment also seems to be on like hit or miss. A lot of players are really enjoying it. A lot of players are really hating it. I'm leaning on the side of not really for me, which is probably why I've been playing a lot of Path. But either way, interested to hear what you guys have to say. And the good news is there's probably a mini set in the coming future, so I'd probably be looking out for that in the next about 3 to 4 weeks. So with that, I'm Robert Warshack, and happy whatever the hell day it is.